That's the first tick on the index. The sensex is up 150 points. The nifty holding on above the 17,400 mark.
For the markets, absolutely steady. Nifty is up 110 points.
We're at the high point of the day as we start off closing bell, and that's not happened in the last 8 sessions at least.
150 points up on the nifty. The sensex also clocks a gain of about 0.8%. The mid-cap market has performed actually far better than the frontliners. Banks have led, metals have been shining.
Well, it looks like a happy day for the bulls because after 8 days of decline, the Nifty finally did extremely well, ended at the high point of trade, and that's how Markets Today was. So this is Markets Today, the show where we track about 6 hours of trade in 5 headlines. Let's talk about those headlines then. The bulls back after an 8-day break. Sensex and Nifty gained nearly 1% each despite a slightly lower than expected GDP growth number and lingering concerns over further rate hikes. Mid-cap index outperforms jumps over 1.5%. Axis Bank acquires Citi's customer business in India for about 11,600 crore rupees with effect from March 1st. The move will bring 3 million Citi customers into the bank's fold. Axis Bank's cards balance sheet will also grow 57% with an additional 2.5 million Citibank credit cards. It's a mixed bag for Motown in February. Passenger vehicle sales remain on a strong footing, but exports struggle for traction. Tractor sales hit high gear. Axis Mutual Fund front-running case takes a new turn. SEBI bars Axis MF's former chief trader and 20 other individuals related to him from the securities market. The regulator also impounds rupees 30 crores of the ill-gotten gains. Chinese factory output rises to its highest since April 2012, with a manufacturing PMI reading of 52.6 compared to 50.1 in January, as a result of which the metal stocks jump. Let's tell you what we have on the show for today. It's a packed show. Actually, we have market opinion coming in from Mark Matthews of Bank Julius Baer & Co. Big corporate voices, we have Prashant Jain, who's the joint MD and CEO at JSW Energy. Before all of that, let's then start with the day's market action. After 8 days of losing ground, it was time for reversal, and a fairly strong one at that. Despite a weaker than expected quarterly GDP reading on Monday and sustained concerns over more rate hikes, indices rose. The Sensex and the Nifty both ended nearly 1% higher, while the mid-cap index ended about 1.5% higher. It outperformed for the second day, running the Nifty Bank up over 1%. In fact, from Monday's lows, the Nifty Bank is up over 1,000 points. Today's gains have added almost 3 lakh crores to the investor wealth on BSE. But remember, this comes on the back of a 25 lakh crore wealth erosion in the first 2 months of 2022. 23, that is. Let's go across to CNBC-TV18's Prashant Nair, who has a breakdown of the day's trading action.
8 days the market's been selling off. It lost 900 points nearly, and finally we get a solid positive daily close. And I think many who've been anticipating and calling for a bit of a pullback, saying this is excessive, this is too one-way non-stop, will appreciate what we saw today. Across the board, there was green. Banks have been outperforming the Nifty over the last couple of days, and that continued today as well. Actually, on the Nifty, before I come to the Nifty, the mid and small cap indices are also coming up on your screen. They did very well. Market breadth was extremely positive in favor of advances. Now, on the Nifty, there were 3 distinct buckets which did well. So you had the banks, so names like SBI, Axis, Indocent, which went up. The tech names, TCS, HCL Tech, Mahindra, did very well. And then a combination of resources, so Tata Steel, ONGC, Coal India, the China PMI numbers which we got earlier were super strong, and that kind of kept that particular space in an excited way. In the broader space, again, lots of gainers and some of the big beaten down names. I mean, the Inaway companies, Rupa, Dollar Industries, Donier, another clothes maker. The Adani pack did very well. Once again, Adani Enterprises, Adani Power, Adani Green were some of the top gainers in that particular pack. Names like Uflex, Triveni Turbine is continuing to make newer highs. Uflex has done 20% in the last 2 days. Look at APL Apollo, Nalco, Sonata Software, Hindustan Copper, Minda Corp, Garden Reach. It was a long list of very strong volume-led gains that we saw today. But as I say, it's just one day. You need more evidence that the market is basing out, and I think that will only come with time. What one can hope for now is that the US market behaves itself. The dollar does not rise. It cools off a little bit like it did during the Asian session. Yields are well behaved, and equity indices stabilize or go up. That's the handoff we want for this market to build on the gains we've seen today. Back to you.
Build on the gains indeed, Prashant. As they say, a swallow doesn't a summer make. So let's see whether this sustains or not, or was this just a flash in the pan. But let's get you some more market opinion as well. Ashwini Agarwal of Dementor Advisors says that higher rates and slow growth will actually make this year a little challenging. Meanwhile, Mark Matthews of Bank Julius Baer & Co. says the Adani issue is weighing in on the Indian market. Listen in.
From a more medium-term perspective, if I were to zoom out and talk about this year on the whole, it will continue to be a very challenging year because of rising rates and slower growth. And those two factors will continue to weigh on the market sentiment. I'm not suggesting that there's a massive amount of downside from here, as the positioning is quite light at these levels. But I do think that large increases from here will attract more profit taking. We have challenges at hand, which include higher rates, and that translates into probably higher mortgage payments or higher installments on loans for a lot of the borrowers.
India, like all markets, is driven by sentiment to some degree, and nobody likes to see their portfolio down. And India's down so far this year, so the retail enthusiasm has waned. It has, like the rest of the world, the same headwind of these higher interest rates. There has been inflows into China from overseas so far this year on the equity side. Not on the fixed income side, but there has been equity allocation into China, and I think most of that has been short covering. So real fundamental investing, there's not been a whole lot of it. Unfortunate thing about India is the Adani Group saga and how that might weigh on banks and in turn their lending to the rest of the private sector, and whether that could cause some softness in the economy. I don't know the answer to that, actually, but I suspect it won't be the case. But the radio silence from SEBI and the government about the exposure of PSU banks to that company is another weight on the market.
All right, let's move on to the second headline now. Axis Bank has acquired Citi's consumer business in India for about 11,600 crore rupees, and that is with effect from today, that's March 1. This move will bring 3 million Citi customers into the bank's fold. Axis Bank's cards balance sheet will also grow by 57%, with an addition of 2.5 million Citibank cards. Abhishek Kothari joins in with the specifics of this deal.
Well, it's a good one, and finally it gets completed. It was announced earlier, and now is the completion that we are seeing. So they have completed the acquisition of Citibank's India consumer business. The transaction cost is a little over 11,600 crore. The earlier estimation was about 12,325 crore. So around 600-700 crore, a bit of saving over there. CCI, or the Competition Commissioner of India, had approved this transaction in July of 2022. So what is in store for Axis Bank? Around 30 lakh customers do get added to the bank. The card balance sheet can grow by an additional 25 lakh customers. This is the credit card portfolio, which is one of the best for Citibank. So branch expansion will aid in loan growth going ahead. Citi Wealth and Private Banking has an AUM of more than 1,10,000 crore, which gets added over here, and deposit accretion is pretty strong of more than 50,000 crores that we can see getting added to Axis Bank. Salary business of Axis Bank will strengthen post the deal, and in terms of numbers, the proposed transaction or post this transaction, they'll have an additional 6.6% to the deposit base and about 11.2% addition to the CASA or the low cost deposits that will get added, and about 3.7% is the loan accretion that they will have post this deal. Back to you.
All right, Abhishek, thanks a lot for that. Dish TV's Minority Investors Association has now alleged a breach in corporate governance by the company. In fact, the letter accessed by CNBC-TV18 alleges that the failure to disclose director nominations approved by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting has happened to the exchanges. Ritu Singh joins in with the latest on this. Ritu, what do you have?
That's right. We understand that Dish TV's Minority Investors Association has alleged a breach in corporate governance by Dish TV for failing to disclose the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting letter which approved director nominations to its board to the exchanges. Now, we've accessed a letter which has been written by these minority investors, which is addressed to the Dish TV board and also copied to SEBI and stock exchanges as well as various creditors and stakeholders. And this alleges that they obtained information through an RTI which showed that the ministry had approved names of 6 independent directors for appointment on the board as early as the 26th of December last year. And since then, Dish TV failed to disclose this information to the stock exchanges and also delayed the appointment of directors which were approved by the ministry, thereby committing a breach in corporate governance. Now, this is also significant because it comes ahead of Dish TV's EGM, which is scheduled on the 3rd of March, where it is going to seek shareholder approval to nominate 4 independent directors to the board. And herein lies another issue, because remember, the tussle between Dish TV and Yes Bank has been ongoing with regards to overhauling the board. And now we've been given to understand from our sources in Yes Bank that the names that have been proposed by Dish TV in this EGM do not include any of the names of the independent directors which were proposed by the bank and also approved by the ministry. And not just that, of the 4 names that have been proposed by Dish TV, 2 have not even been approved by the ministry. So the minority shareholders in their letter to the board have now demanded that the company convene a board meeting and appoint the ministry-approved directors immediately and hold the management accountable for not reporting this official communication to the board and protect the right of all stakeholders.
All right, Ritu, thanks a lot for that. So this is a story that we will keep an eye out on in terms of its developments going forward. With that, move on to the third headline. It is the first of the month, so it also means that auto sales for the previous month are reported, and it's been a mixed February for Motown, because if you just take a look at it, Bajaj Auto, Maruti and M&M all reported a steep fall in exports. However, total sales for all the 3 companies rose for the month. On the other hand, Ashok Leyland, Escorts posted a strong growth of over 27% each in sales. Sonia Shenoy joins in with the details. Sonia.
It was a mixed bag for the auto sector this time around. Let's start with the positives. On the stronger side, you had the tractor makers that delivered very good numbers. Both Escorts and M&M reported a growth of more than 25% in their numbers. Escorts up 27.8% and M&M tractor sales up by 26% year on year. Even M&M auto sales were not too bad. Sales growth came in at 8% year on year at 58,800 units. Ashok Leyland's numbers were also quite good despite being slightly lower than what the street was estimating. Ashok Leyland total sales went up 27%. On the weaker side, though, you had the export companies that suffered quite a bit. Both Maruti and Bajaj Auto saw a big fall in exports this time. Maruti total sales growth of just under 5%, dragged down by a fall in exports. Exports down 28%. Bajaj Auto's total sales were down 11%, led by almost a 40% fall in the export piece for Bajaj Auto. Tata Motors as well saw a bit of a slowdown. In fact, the commercial vehicle sales for Tata Motors was down 3%, coming in at 36,565 units. So all in all, you'd have to say it was a mixed bag for the auto sector.
Mixed bag indeed, Sonia. Thanks a lot for that. We have Rakesh Sharma, the Executive Director at Bajaj Auto. He spoke to us today earlier, and this is what he had to say with regards to the sales and also the possibility of production cuts.
Yeah, I read that report, which I thought was pretty perfunctory, and we did not understand where those numbers were coming from and what was assumed. And if I compare, not just sequentially, but if I compare how March will probably look compared to last March, we will be around the same ballpark. So there is nothing so dramatic as that report suggested about, massive cuts. The exports has been under pressure, particularly Nigeria, which is a very large market. Is the largest overseas market for us. Fundamental issue, as we have been saying, is actually, if I keep Nigeria aside, is actually the availability of the dollar now. In most countries, our stock covers are quite thin. Demand is lower than what it was last year, but it has improved. However, there is not enough foreign exchange for international trading. Hopefully, when we say that, we expect things will improve from July onwards, it is based on the assumption that, the Fed will sort of taper off with its actions and some kind of an equilibrium will set in by April, May, and that will sort of rest the nerves a little bit and more dollars will be available for trading.
All right, let's stick with the auto sector itself. Positive brokerage commentary actually helped M&M gain in trade today. The stock closed with minor gains, but at one point was higher in today's trading session after a big rally that it's already seen. in the last 7 or 8 months itself. Sonia Shenoy joins in once again with the details of that brokerage note. Sonia.
Well, CLSA upgraded M&M to a buy. They raised their target price to 1,619 from 1,583, which is a big upside to the current market price. Now, CLSA believes that both the auto and the farm equipment segment are doing very well. In fact, they forecast a 20% volume growth for the SUV segment in FY24. They say that M&M is sitting on a very strong order backlog to the tune of almost 266,000 units, and they have 6 new electric SUVs that are expected to be launched over the next 5 years. All this higher demand would mean higher production, and hence M&M is raising their capacity to 49,000 units per month to service the rising demand. Even the tractor segment has been doing well, up almost 14% is the growth that CLSA is forecasting for FY23, and an aggressive target price of 1,619.
All right, Sonia, thanks a lot for that. Take a short break, come back. We'll be back in a jiffy with all the other headlines. Welcome back. You're still with us on markets today. What a day it was for the bulls. After 8 days of drubbing, the bulls actually fought back today. 150-point gain on the Nifty, led by the Nifty Bank, the Nifty IT Index, and the mid-caps doing extremely well. Let's talk about the fourth headline today. Axis Mutual Fund front-running case has taken a new turn. The SEBI has released an interim order barring Axis MF's former chief trader and 20 other individuals related to him from the securities market. Shivani Bajaj is standing by with the details of that. Shivani.
The Securities and Exchange Board of India has barred former chief trader of Axis Mutual Fund Viresh Joshi and 20 other individuals from dealing in the securities market in connection with the front-running case at Axis Mutual Fund. SEBI released an interim report which noted that these individuals made a wrongful gains worth rupees 30.5 crores from front-running activities. SEBI has asked the 21 individuals to repay the wrongful gains made by them in 15 days and has directed banks to not allow any debits from the accounts of these named individuals. Axis Mutual Fund in its statement has said that the findings and direction of the interim order have no impact on their operations, and the AMC will continue to cooperate with the authorities in the matter. Axis Mutual Fund and its former chief trader Viresh Joshi came under SEBI's front-running scanner in 2022, following which the fund house sacked Viresh Joshi. SEBI's investigation shows that soon after the Axis Mutual Fund orders were placed, Viresh Joshi and many other individuals connected to him squared off their positions in the market and made profits by placing orders ahead of the price movement.
Shivani, thanks a lot for that. Let's move on. JSW Energy says that the overall rise in power demand has worked in favor of the company. Speaking to CNBC-TV18, Prashant Jain of JSW Energy says that in February alone, the company saw close to 8% growth in power demand.
Power demand is going pretty robust this calendar year and this financial year. So far, we have seen 10% power demand growth, and that's where the situation is, and we are seeing early onset of the summer. And that's why you saw the power demand growth in the month of February also 7.5% to 8%. We are a growing company and we see a huge opportunity in power sector in time to come. You can expect that whatever opportunities on the table, we may be looking at it. This particular asset is having close to 18 SPVs, and then we have to work on individual SPVs. So it takes a little bit more time, but things are progressing well, and we will be concluding this transaction in this financial year. And as we have also given the guidance that within 12 months, we will improve the EBITDA by 450 crore, that will be achieved sooner than what we have articulated.
The fifth headline today, Chinese factory output has risen to its highest level seen since April 2012, with the manufacturing PMI reading of 52.6 compared to 50.1 in January. Remember, a number upwards of 50 indicates expansion and below that indicates contraction. The surprise boosted metal prices, which in turn helped the metal stocks in India gain in trade. Manisha Gupta joins in with more. Manisha.
It has been a strong comeback for the metals as a sector, where you have ferrous and non-ferrous, both these sectors doing quite well for themselves. So one, it has been about the Chinese data, which came in much better than the street expectation. So in the month of December, we saw 50.1 as the China PMI, which for the month of Feb has gained up to 52.6. That clearly has been supportive. Street, remember, for some time now has been looking for cues and sustainability in sense of China's economic growth and buying in sense of metals as well. And that came in via this data. The second is the US dollar index, which has come off its 7-week highs, and that has been supportive too. And the money managers who actually sold off metal holdings in the month of Feb also are coming back quite strongly right now, and that is what we saw on the first day of the March. Remember, in Feb, we saw many of these metal prices, including copper, which fell 6%. It was 10 to 12% of a decline for zinc and aluminum as well. Iron ore prices fell 2.5%. Steel was the only one which was standing tall for the month of Jan and Feb, but March also has seen some more buying come back in steel, and in addition to all of these other metals who posted very strong gains in the day.
Heavy metal, that was the music that played in markets today. But let's move on. Packaging company Uflex surged over 7% in trade today. The company informed the exchanges that tax authorities have not seized anything incriminating, and all books of accounts of the company were found to be in order. Remember, the company also denied reports of alleged bogus transactions during the week-long raid, as a result of which the stock rallied today. With that, we're out of time on this edition of Markets Today. Thank you for watching.